What's up, guys? Quick discussion video of Fire Fists. Going into the next format. We'll start with the video. For those who don't know, there's two versions of Fire Fist. There's 4-axis and 3-axis. 3-axis is the version that plays chicken, and 4-axis is the version that plays Wolfberg. Chicken and Wolfberg are both coming out in what's that cat called? Judgment of the Light in about like 3 weeks. That's mainly one of the reasons that it's probably going to be Tier 1X format along with Bujins, because Bujins are just broke. That deck's so annoying to deal with. But yeah, so in this video I'll talk about both versions of Fire Fist. We'll start off with 3-axis. 3-axis is the version with the synchros that's a lot faster and a lot more explosive, but I think it's a lot more inconsistent than the 4-axis. So yeah, like 3-axis, it has its explosive plays, and when it opens good, it really opens good. Like it gets going really fast, and it just sets up for next turn and turns after that. It's a really good deck, but I think it can be really inconsistent at the same time. Yeah, like it's an inconsistent deck from what I've tested it. From when I've been testing it, I don't like it all that much. I like 4-axis a lot better. So yeah, that's basically it for 3-axis. I mean, there's nothing really to talk about in 3-axis. It's simple deck. Just you bring out a bunch of synchros. You bring out like a bunch of fire synchros and just basically put as much damage on board as you can and set it for next turn and stuff like that. It doesn't really have much of control. Yeah, it doesn't really. Sorry, I blanked out there. It doesn't really have much control on the board of what your opponent can do, because it doesn't play all that many traps. It plays a lot of spells and somewhat a lot of monsters compared to this version of Fire Fist, which is 4-axis. So yeah, that's basically it for 3-axis. Do I think it will be Tier 1X format? Possibly, but I think 4-axis is definitely going to be Tier 1X format. Alright, now on to 4-axis. 4-axis is the version that we all seen at the beginning of the format. That was Tier 1 along with Mermel. So yeah, although it always fell short to Mermel because Mermel outclassed it in every possible way except for the grind game and the control game. That's the only thing that this deck did better than Mermel, but it was a lot faster and everything. Everything the deck did, Mermel could just do better except for those two things. So yeah, the 4-axis, I like 4-axis more. Although it is a very boring deck. If you're going, before I go further into this video, if you're going for a boring deck or a fun deck, if you want a fun Tier 1 deck, play 3-axis, not 4-axis. 4-axis is one of the most boring decks you'll ever play. It's just really boring. Like all you're basically doing is searching for bear. Turn after, well, my thing kind of delayed, but yeah, all you're doing is searching for bear, turn after turn. It's really boring. But yeah, the new addition to 4-axis is Wolfberg. Wolfberg opens a lot of plays. It's a mini tour guide basically, or I'd prefer it to be a wine rat because it does basically the same thing. So yeah, it's more or less a mini wine rat. It allows you to go into Tiger King a lot more. It allows you to toolbox all your rank 4s a lot more. So yeah, like it's good top decking it, and it's just really good. And it's a beast warrior, so you can search it with Tinky. And yeah, but what I think of this deck next format, I think 4-axis will be Tier 1 too, along with Bujins. Bujins are really good. They're not fun, but they're really good. Like none of the decks that are coming out that are real fun. Like Bujins are boring as fuck, and so are 4-axis Fire Fist. 3-axis is actually really fun, but yeah. Do I think there'll be a deck that will fall short, that Fire Fist will fall short to? Yes. If Mermel are still a deck, if they don't get touched very hard, if Dragoons go to 2, I can still see Mermel being Tier 1. For those of you who see my video, yes. I'm a big Mermel player. I love Mermel. Yeah. So that's like one of the only decks I can see this deck falling short to, just like it did at the beginning of the format. It fell short to Mermel because Mermel was a better deck. But that's about it. Like, next format, I can see it being a slower format, really control-based format, a lot of traps and stuff like that. Like, the Crees and be really good in this format for side decking. Any deck that can side the Crees, and you can get it off, you're probably going to win, because next format I see like half of the decks being traps. That's how many traps I can see in the next format. It's gonna be another Dino Rabbit format basically, where it was really control. So yeah, and I'm anxious for next format though, because I can see old decks coming back like windups and injectors and decks like that. Like Slim said, it'll give a chance for old decks to come back that will fit down this format because of the release of dragons. Like the release of dragons is the reason why a lot of the old decks aren't being played anymore, like windups and injectors and Dino Rabbit. All those decks fell short to dragons, and they were just way too slow this format. This deck fell short to the dragons. This deck hasn't done anything this format since the release of dragons. I mean, at least Mermail haven't really been doing anything either, but at least they got top 16 at Nats in Europe, and they got a few top 42s in at our Nats from the North. The one that just passed the American Nats basically at our WCQs. But yeah, that's basically it, guys. Yes, I see this deck being tier 1. Again, I still see Mermail being tier 1 if Dragoons doesn't go to 1. And yeah, so that's it, guys. Alright, is there anything else? Before I turn off the camera, there's gonna be probably another Mermail deck profile on my video. Yes, on my channel. Yes, it's like my channel's just basically been nothing but Mermails lately. But my friend Chris from XX Team Megalo XX is his YouTube channel. I asked him to do deck profile for me and so I can post it on the channel. He said that was fine. It's gonna be title Mermail, so yeah, that'll be the name of the title. So yep, that's it, guys. Alright, deuces.